Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the books that I hope to get to in the month of October. So we're moving into the final quarter of the year. The month of October's TBR I think is going to be relatively similar to the month of September's TBR because I haven't made that much of a dent in my September TBR. Yeah, I've not really got too far through it at all. I do still have like a week and a bit left in September, so I have a little bit of time to see how much more I can read, but there's definitely going to be quite a few repeats. Some of that being because you will have seen I read Rhythm of War. I threw out the sequels that I said I was going to read and I read Rhythm of War, which is a very big book and a very big accomplishment. So that is one of the big reasons why I haven't quite got to all of the things that I had on my TBR, because I reprioritised and I did Rhythm of War instead, which I think it balances it out. It really balances it out because I've had that on my TBR for many months. So it is with a great relief that I have read Rhythm of War now. But yeah, that took out like the beginning bit of the month, and then I do have a vlog of that now up. So I have now finished my Stormlight series for right now, so that is now up. And then since then my reading has been very slow, contrasting to how I ended August, because of having surgery I then read things very quickly because I was on bed rest, so I was just powering through things. But since that time, where I had 2 weeks off, I've now been back at work and it's been a struggle that by the time I finish my workday I am exhausted and I have not been reading because I'm just so exhausted from surviving that whole day. And so the book, I've been very slow. I've been very slow. So we'll see how it continues into October, how my fatigue is, because that's what's been impacting me, is just a consistent level of fatigue. So hopefully things will start to pick up and I'll actually have a little bit of energy in the evenings. Additionally, Becca from Becca and the Books announced Spookopoly, which is based on the board game of Monopoly. Previously she used to do this every month as like a TBR game. She no longer does that, but every so often there is a round of it that everyone can partake in. I am thinking of taking part in October's Spookopoly. I haven't printed off the board, I've hardly looked at prompts. My intention being that I would just roll as I go and then fit hopefully these books into that TBR, the same way that I did it last year. Last year I also played like that, where I just rolled and then picked books as I got to them. So that would be the plan. I could do a vlog again for it, but just hopefully try and fit some of these books that I'm mentioning today into that TBR. Right, so I have a chunk of sequels that I have already mentioned, so I'll just rush through them. I'll just go through them quite quickly. I have The Impossible Imposter, which is the 7th, I think it's the 7th book now. It's a shame that these books do not have the number of them on the spine. I love a numbered spine, it makes things so much easier. Yeah, number 7. So yeah, this is number 7 in the Veronica Speedwell series. I was like, how many of these have I read? I've been slowly reading these this year. I've been really enjoying my time with this series. So it's like a fun historical mystery series where I'm following the main character Veronica, who is a butterfly collector, and her partner in crime, Stoker, and they in each book investigate a sort of murder and get themselves tangled up in lots of different scenarios. They each sort of stand alone, but there is like an overarching plot that goes through them. They're very fun, easy reads. They're all about 300 pages, so just a breeze to like read through. I haven't got to one in September, but I did do 2 in August, so it hasn't been like a priority this month, but I would like to, I guess, get up to date in this series by the end of the year. I think that would be like a good achievement. I don't know how many books are going to be in it. I would love to know. I have tried Googling, but Google I don't think has really given me an answer. I do have books 7 and 8 physically, and I don't know when the paperback of 9 is coming out, or if it's already out. But this one, continuing, this has been on the TBR for a few times now, The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. I do still have time until the third book comes out in November, but this is the sequel to The Jasmine Throne, which I read last year. This is an Indian inspired fantasy. We've got multi-perspectives, one of them being a princess that's locked up in a tower and her maidservant in a very patriarchal society, with a really interesting magic system where you can become like infected, and that means that these trees and nature will start growing out of you and slowly start killing you. So I do just need to like refresh myself a little bit on the first one and then dive into this. A reread that I did not get to in September was The Hunger of the Gods by Gwynne. The third book in the series is coming out in October, so I do need to get to this as probably more of a priority now. I think it's towards the end of the month that the third book is coming out, but I do really want to read that because I love Gwynne, and I need to check the dates on it. I am going to a signing an event in London in October. I think it's the middle of the month, so I should probably try and get this reread before then, and then I'll be ready for that third book. This is a Norse-inspired fantasy. It's multi-perspectives. We follow Orca, who is a mother, and at the beginning of the book she gets thrust off on this adventure, like a murderous rampage. And then we follow Varg, who's an ex-slave, as he enters into this warband, and Elvar, who is part of another warband, and they all sort of meet at some, well, cross paths, and you can see the plot threads all coming together. It's got these old gods potentially rising, so excited to get back into this. I just need to start the audiobook. Just need to start re-listening to this one. And I also have The Cage of Dark Hours by Marina Lostetta, which is the sequel to The Helm of Midnight. This is a sort of fantasy murder series. So the magic system in this world is that after you die, your psyche can go into these helmets, and then say you're a doctor, other people can put on your helmet and they will be able to obtain your medical knowledge. And then some helmets are classed as more dangerous. So there is a helmet of a serial killer, and at the beginning of the book this helmet gets stolen, and then the murders start happening in the same style of this serial killer. So we're following one character who was there at the time that the helmet was stolen, and then her trying to re-find the helmet and stop these murders from happening, as well as some other perspectives. And it takes, some of the perspectives are in different timelines, so it's really interesting to see how that all like weaves together. It's got a really interesting magic system that I want to see how it is, see how it's explored more in this one. I just didn't get to it. And then I also didn't get to some of my new releases. So you see, I didn't really get to much. Let's see if I can get to any more in this last week. But I also didn't get to The Ending Fire, which is and I haven't bought these either. So I currently haven't bought any books in September, which I think is good because I have been trying to work my way through my TBR. But The Ending Fire by Sarah El Arifi, which is the third book in the Ending Fire trilogy, the first book being The Final Strife. I feel like I've got a synopsis that I've done multiple times for this, but again, multi-perspective. You have a very hierarchical society made up of different blood types. The red bloods rule and they have magic and power, followed by the blue bloods who are looked down upon, they do more menial tasks, and then there are the ghost bloods who are completely sort of the dregs of society. They're really looked down upon. They tried to rise up many hundreds of years ago, and for that rebellion they all have their hands cut off and their tongues cut out to stop them ever rebelling again. And at the beginning of prior to the start of the book, a handful of red-blooded and blue-blooded babies have been swapped at birth so that these red bloods can be raised as blue bloods and then get into the system and sort of corrupt it from within. And it starts off with these trials, and then everything just all expands from there. So I'm really excited to see how it concludes. I just didn't get to it. And I also did not get to A Dawn of Gods and Fury, which is the fourth book in a Fate of Wrath and Flame series by K.A. Tucker, which is a fantasy romance where our main character Ramiria gets thrown through a portal into this fantasy realm, and she wakes up there in the body of somebody who has just killed the king and queen, and she has no idea what's going on. Everyone is threatening her and accusing her of murder, and she gets thrust into prison, and she's just there going, I have no idea what's happened, help. It's a fantasy romance story which I have really enjoyed, so I would like to see how it concludes. So there's a lot of repeats there. That's pretty much a repeat of September's TBR, so a lot of sequels. There are a couple of absentees there. I do have, a couple of absentees from the September one, but not many. I do have, as I have read the Atlas Paradox, I do have the Atlas Complex, which I can add on, which is the third book in the Atlas series. Moving on with this series, which has been on my priorities for this year, and this is the third and final book. The first book, it's a dark academia story. We're following a cast of 6 characters as they enter into the Alexandrian Society, and as they try and train in their specific magic. Some of them have more elemental magic, some of them have more emotional, mental magic, and they're all sort of learning and studying, but they know that only 5 of them can continue into the second year, and that is the question of who is not going to make it. Excited to see how this all concludes. It's got some very mixed reviews. very, very mixed review, but I am intrigued to see how it all ends. And then to throw in here, one that a standalone that I have not mentioned in a TBR, I have The Enigma of Room 622 by Joel Dicker. So this is a murder mystery, originally written in French. It's set in Switzerland in the Alps, and there was a murder many years ago in this fancy hotel, and it was never solved, and then many years later the case is being reopened. I really enjoyed Joel Dicker's other work that I read last year, which was The Truth About the Harry Kubert Affair. Yeah, my boyfriend has read quite a few of his books and hasn't enjoyed them. I think he actually has a new one coming out, or a new one in English coming out this month, October sometime. I don't know when. I think it's already been out in French, but the English translation is coming out, so that's a reminder for me to buy it for him. I haven't read a book in French this year, and I feel as though I should. And these ones are quite good. I find the language quite engrossing, easy enough to read, compelling. They are longer. It is like over 700 pages, but I find that they're, well, at least with The Truth About the Harry Kubert Affair, it was quite good to sort of like break it up. Could easily read, I don't know, 30-40 pages a day and then have it done by the end of the month. This is a target, and you know, it's murder, which sort of suits October, and so I feel as though it could be a good fit. So those are some ideas of what I might read in October. Sorry, it is pretty much a repeat of September, minus a couple, but mostly a repeat of the September sequels TBR. Hopefully I will do a better job at reading it this time around, and so by the time we get to November, I will be able to put some new things on, and it won't be so samey, but we shall see. We shall see. Let me know what you are planning to read in October, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!